Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Christine and I like to read dark and disturbing things. I also like to buy books a lot. We have a book haul today. So I have a stack of books here that I have been accumulating over the last month and a half. I'd like to think longer than a month, but probably the last month because I have a problem. So let's just get into it. And since for whatever reason I cannot put them on my shelves until I officially haul them on film, it's not really acquiring books until you film it, right? So here we are. We're gonna film it so I can put these books away and start adding them to my TBR and whatnot. So let's start with a book of the month. All right, so this was a pick as an add-on for Book of the Month, Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. And I read Butcher and Blackbird last month and I absolutely was shocked that I loved it. So of course I had to get this. Yeah, it's a romance, but like a romance in the weirdest sense, which is why I actually liked it. But in order to put an add-on, I needed to pick one of their books of the month, right? And I wasn't really sure about any of them, but I ended up picking The Lion Women of Tehran. And it just sounded the most interesting to me and like something I would never probably just randomly pick. So this is about two girls in the 1950s, and one of them is living a good life. And then her family all of a sudden falls on hard times and she has to move into a tiny home away from where she was originally growing up. And she ends up becoming good friends with another little girl, and together they spend all their time together. Well, it turns out that she ends up getting her family ends up getting her fortune back, and she is able to move back into the good life and away from her friend. And then years go by and the friend comes back into her life, and it just kind of goes to show how someone that you grew up with can shape your life in the future. It looks like it has something to do with the political turmoil in Iran and these two women maybe showing up for one another. I'm not sure. I have no idea. But it sounds like it'll be an interesting read. The next two books I got out of a free little library. The first one I have seen people talk about a lot, and I probably would not go out of my way to go get this book, but since it was in a free little library, I thought this was a cool find. It's Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maurer. Has cool sprayed edges. From what I understand, that this is like a cozy fantasy story with a lot of humor. So it says that our main character Evie takes a job being an assistant to this evil person. And just the back it says, but when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, she suspects the dungeon has a huge rat, and it's not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his nefarious empire out. Just the way that we're talking about severed heads and eyeballs rolling on the floor, I think this will be a fun little read. This book, I have no idea what it's about, but it's called Hello Universe, and this is a middle grade book, and it's about 4 people who end up becoming friends under unlikely circumstances. I don't know why I'm always drawn to this stuff. But again, sometimes I hope that if I read it and I really like it and I think my son will like it, I pass it on to him. So yeah, I don't know. A friendship coming of age story. Next up, I have 2 books that I had pre-ordered from Barnes & Noble. Back in the beginning of the year, they had some kind of deal where all of their pre-orders were like 20% off or something like that. And so anything that looked interesting to me, I ended up pre-ordering, because I think I was trying to be sneaky and be like, okay, I'm doing the Read What You Own challenge, but it doesn't count if it's a pre-order. I don't know, whatever. Girl logic. The first one I got is A Vacation by S.T. Gibson. I have no idea what this is about. I just know that S.T. Gibson wrote it, and I absolutely loved A Dowry of Blood, so I had to order it. And then, of course, there's like a bunch, there's several special editions of this, I think from Fairy Loot and Owl Crate, which I don't have. I don't know that I'm hearing the best reviews on this, but I've been trying not to pay too much attention to what it's even about because I want to go in blind. The next one I got for the same reason everyone got this book, is because the packaging is so smart. It's made to look like a VHS tape. Like, look at that. This is Home is Where the Bodies Are. And when you actually read the book, it looks like this VHS cassette. All I know is that it's a thriller. So this says, the mother of a family passes away, and so all of the children like come home, siblings, I guess they're grown now, come home to take care of business, and they come across a box of home videos that were made, and they come across one that was made in 1999 that none of them remember. On screen, their father appears to be covered in blood. What follows is a dead body and a pact between their parents to get rid of it before the video abruptly ends. So very creepy. Kind of reminds me of like the setup of Candy Cane Kills, which is a holiday slasher that I really enjoyed, but this will probably be more of a thriller. And actually, I just did my TBR yesterday for Summerween, and I think this would actually be perfect. We have a book that has more than 5 words in the title, and it's a thriller, so I think I might try to move this one up and get to it this month, or July. And the next stack is books I picked up from Barnes & Noble. You know, when the beginning of the month hits and all of the book picks come out for Aardvark Book Box, Book of the Month, and then Barnes & Noble always has like a new selection of books that are buy one, get one half off. And I saw this book with these edges. This is just a paperback, and I had to get it. So this is a Dreadful, and this is definitely supposed to be a cozy fantasy with humor in it as well. It says, it's bad enough waking up in a half-destroyed evil wizard's workshop with no eyebrows, no memories, and no idea how long you have before Dread Lord whomever shows up to murder you horribly and then turn your skull into a goblet or something. It's a lot worse when you realize that Dread Lord whomever is you. Gav isn't really sure how he ended up with a castle full of goblins or why he has a princess locked in a cell. All he can do is play along with his own evil plan in hopes of getting his memories back before he gets himself killed. But he realizes that nothing, from the incredibly tasteless cloak adorned with flames to the princess, is quite what it seems. Gav must face up to all things that Dread Lord Gavrax has done. And he'll have to answer the hardest question of all. Who does he want to be? This sounds like a fun, silly time, so I am here for it. And then for my other book that I picked that was half off, we have the Whisperwicks, The Labyrinth of Lost and Found. And I just loved this cover. It had purple edges. That helped. So this one looks like it is about an 11-year-old boy who does not believe in magic, and then one day he gets this doll in the mail that turns into a bird and leads him into a magical world. Inside this magical world, there is a minotaur at the heart of this, I'm guessing, labyrinth, and it seems like it is just a fun, maybe Greek mythology inspired fantasy tale that kind of also reminds me of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So, I don't know, it just sounds like a fun, cute time. And then when I went to go pick those up, I did pick up 2 other books just randomly. I just like to look the shelves, and especially in the horror section, and just see what books are there that I haven't really heard of. And there was like a whole section of this author called Tom Carnell, and it said that he is a local author, and there were several books there. They all seem to be short story books, and while I'm not like the hugest short story fan, I wanted to support seeing a local author in our horror section, and I just picked this one up. The other one I randomly picked up was Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker Martin. I do also own Manhunt, but I haven't read it yet, so I was familiar with this author, and I just saw Katrina do a review on this, which has me excited to get to this one. The back just says that it's the summer of 1995 and we have a conversion camp for 7 queer kids who are abandoned by their parents, and everyone leaves a different person, which sounds very like cosmic to me, like they might end up leaving like a different creature. I don't know. It says 16 years later, only the scarred and broken survivors of that terrible camp can put an end to the horror before it's too late. The fate of the world depends on it. It sounds freaking bizarre. I think she said it was gut-wrenching. And I believe there's body horror, which I always love. So I'm excited to get to this. And it also reminds me that I need to read Camp Damascus, which I have on my shelf as well. Okay. Here's a book that I just saw the title and the beautiful limited edition of, and I had to find someone selling their copy because it was a Fairy Loot book and I no longer get Fairy Loot. But it is The Honey Witch. Look at those gorgeous cover. But this is what really got me. I know I should not judge a book by its cover and by how gorgeous it is. But it's got witches. I have quite a few witch books on my shelf that I'm hoping to get to this fall. So I really need to buckle down and do that. Oh, here's the back. I don't know. I don't fully know what it's about. Let's see. Oh, I just realized that it's a reversible dust jacket. So I don't know a lot about this other than there's someone training to become a honey witch, and apparently if you are a honey witch, no one can fall in love with you. And I believe that there is going to be sapphic romance in this, and I don't know what's better than some witchy sapphic action going on. I forget who I saw talking about this on their channel, but it got me to purchase this book. This is by Jeff Strand. It Watches in the Dark, and I don't know, this is totally giving me trick-or-treat vibes. I am going to go in totally blind. I think it might be a slasher, and there's a scarecrow on the front, so I'm guessing Halloweenish. Can't go wrong with that. And this one I know I got because Sarah from Wicked Reading was just, she loved this book. And I forget what it's about at this point, but it is Tear by Erica McKean. This book was like life-changing to her. So whatever she had said just inspired me to go buy it right away. So that's what I did. And another random purchase that I got, well, it's not random. It's the Cotton Candy Massacre Part 2. I read Part 1 last year, and I want to read this one for the summer. This is like Evil Clown Carnival Horror. Okay, next is my Pango book haul. You guys have heard me probably talk about Pango books before, where you could buy and sell used books. I'm horrible about telling you guys to check down below. I always put all of my links to follow me on Instagram or Goodreads, but I do actually have a code for Pango books right now, Kritz Read. It gets you, I think, $5 off your first $20 purchase. So that could be from anybody's Pango shop. But I absolutely love it because I unhaul my books and sell the ones that I don't want anymore, and then I can pick up books that I'm interested in without paying full price sometimes. So the first one is Garth Marenghi's Terror Tome, Curl Up with This Book and Die. I saw Alex the Bookybus talking about this, and it just sounded hilarious. And I'm not 100% sure if I'm supposed to start with this one or if it even matters. But basically, my understanding is that Garth Marenghi is not a real person. He is a fake horror author, and everything is super tongue-in-cheek. I think that there might even be a television show with this. I'm sure somebody knows. This one says, when horror writer Nick Steen gets sucked into a cursed typewriter by the terrifying typeface Dark Lord of the Prolix, the hellish visions inside his head are unleashed for real. Forced to fight his escaping imagination, now leaking out of his own brain, Nick must defend the town of Stockford from his own fictional horrors, including a serial killer, Nelson Strain, and Nick's dreaded Throppleganger. The fuck does that mean? The Dark Third. Can he and Roz, his frequently incorrect female editor, hunt down these incarnate denizens of Nick's rampaging imagination before they destroy Stockford, outer Stockford, and possibly slightly further? I love things that don't take itself seriously, and I think I'm going to have a really fun time with this. Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice because things outside are trying to kill me. I went out into nature. Wasn't good for me. So if you know, if I have to read one of the other ones first, let me know. And then the person was also selling, I think these were both actually in a Nightworms package, which I no longer get. But What Kind of Mother by Clay McLeod Chapman. Oh yeah. Oh nice. They put this in there. So I have only read one book by this author before, Whisper Down the Lane, which was probably towards the beginning of my rediscovering horror era, and I did enjoy that one. And I do have Ghost Eaters on my shelf, but if you follow this author on Instagram, he is hilarious. He just has some great energy. I don't know how he has so much energy, but he's really funny. So I just wanted to read some more of his stuff. And then 2 more books from Pango, and then I have, sorry, I feel like this is so long. I have 2 more books from Pango, and then I have a box from Book Outlet to show you. So this person was selling 2 hardcover books that I thought I would like for my collection. The first one is Clive Barker's Sacrament. Am I ever going to actually read some more Clive Barker? Yes, I swear to God I am. And then I already own this, but not this one. This is the Books of Blood. So this is 1 through 3, which I do own, and I have read the first volume, but this was too cool of a cover to pass up, so I had to get that. All right, I'm going to open up the box that I was actually waiting for to do this whole haul, which is my box from Book Outlet. Book Outlet is where I get a lot of books because often they will have these sales of everything is like $5.99 or less, or a certain section of things are $5.99 and less, and then I just kind of go wild. I put everything in my cart that I think I'm interested in, and then I kind of look at some of the reviews and then start taking things out. But I never feel guilty even if I end up not liking something because the books were all $5.99. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, first is Scott Leeds Schrader's Chord. I saw Sin from Sin's Book Nook talking about this one, and it is some kind of horror, but with a music element to it. I'm not going to go into what all these books are about, otherwise we would be here all day. But this one sounded interesting. I've never read anything from this author. Here's one that's been on my like mental TBR for a while, and that is Frankenstein in Baghdad. I think Literary Love 123, I'm sure she's read this. She reads anything Frankenstein inspired. But I keep seeing this one around, and I'm also interested in Frankenstein inspired books. Next up, this cover is just what sold me, and I think it's a short story collection. Yeah. But this is called Too Scared to Sleep. Hopefully you could see it because it's very shiny. Look at that toy box. And it's fairly short. So I think my problem with short stories is a lot of times they're not actually short. And then you end up reading like an 80-page short story. And if you're not in, like, a lot of times short stories are hit or miss. So if you're not into that super long one, you're just like, what did I just spend all this time doing? This one has also been on my mental, the cover's not perfect, but it's been on my mental TBR for a while because it's a Greek mythology retelling. And you know I have an issue, even though I have a whole shelf here and there's many that I have not read yet, but When I see it on sale, it's gonna happen. Next is actually a third book in a series. I have read the first one and I did really like it, but it's been a few years. The first one was called The Library of the Dead, and I will be the first to say it does not have a lot to do with the library, but it was very interesting. It takes place in Scotland, and I listened to it, and I found the main character just hilarious with her accent and just the messed up things she says. But if I remember correctly, she sees dead people. She sees dead people, but she charges them for a service of like passing on a message to their loved ones. There are certain people who can see the dead, and that's how she makes her money. I might need a refresher on the first one, but since the third one was on sale in hardcover, I need to get to the second one. Whoa, I did not know this book was so fat. This one I've seen all over the place. This is Seanan McGuire's Middle Game. Do I remember what it's about? No. This was kind of an odd choice for me, but probably the redhead on the cover did it, and then I think it must have had pretty good ratings. This is Daughter of the Pirate King, a little fantasy with a badass female character. Oh, 3 more. This I thought would be fun to read in December. I've never actually read any Sherlock Holmes, so this is The Christmas Demon. I really like how that looks. I have a coworker that has been listening to like hours and hours of Sherlock Holmes on her way to work, and she thinks that I would really be into it. So I'm gonna give that a chance, and I do like a nice Christmas themed book for December. Next is one, I want to say I saw Kelsey from Simon Slashers talking about this one. I think that this is like a Western horror, which is unlike anything that I ever read. I'm going to go in blind, but I got Red Rabbit. And last but not least, I've never read anything by Ottessa Moshfegh. Always been kind of interested if I'd be into this weird girl, like lit. Sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't, but when it works, it's so good. So I want to give her a shot and see if I am into their writing style. All right, that is everything I have gotten in the last 6 weeks or so, which, yeah, you could tell the Read What You Own challenge has gone out the window. I am still trying to read what I own, but I just started buying books, and it is what I'm not even mad about it anymore. All right, I'm losing my voice, so I am going to go rest and read, and I will be back with another spooky video. Thank you guys for watching, and stay spooky.